Hello and welcome back to the Cooking with Ruf cooking show on YouTube. And today, folks, we have a special treat for you. We are going to take you back down South Carolina way. And I'm going to show you how to make chicken and dumplings just like my mama Peg used to make. And we're going to get it all done right here today on Cooking with Ruf. And it is time to don the red apron. Let's go. All right, folks, the key to this recipe, as with many others that you'll see me make on the show, is the preparation. And so for that, let's walk through the ingredients that we have prepared for today's show. So in this bowl, I have my dumpling dough, and I'll go through the details of what that has in it. We got some chopped parsley, maybe 10 to 12 sprigs of chopped parsley, 4 cloves of chopped garlic, a small to medium chopped onion, and we have in our medium meat marination container, that's the MMMC, a whole chicken that has been quartered and seasoned. And ladies and gentlemen, now we are ready to rock. All right, folks, it is time to make that about face to the Cooking with Ruf stovetop, where we have a large saucepan on here. And take a peek in there. We got a little bit of olive oil in there, and that's just to prevent the chicken from sticking. As I mentioned, oh yeah, got that sizzle going. I have a quartered chicken that I quartered it and removed most of the skin from it. And I also, something that I also did was, because I'm going to use the broth to make the dumplings, I over seasoned the chicken, and that's just so that the broth has a strong flavor to it. And how my mom used to do it and how I'm going to do it here today is I'm not going to put any water in here. I'm just going to cover this up, and what'll happen is after about, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, it'll start to make its own juice in there, and that'll kind of lock that flavor in. We'll come back in maybe 3 minutes or so. We'll add our fresh herbs to it. Then we'll let those cook down on it for maybe another 5 minutes, and then we'll cover it with water, and we're gonna boil it for about 40 minutes till that chicken is nice and tender. All right, folks, we have had this chicken searing a little bit on one side for a couple minutes. I'm gonna just come in here with my spoon, try to unstick it from the bottom, and flip it over, so we can sear the other side now. We're gonna take a peek at that. See, we got some browning on that side there. Got a little bit of chicken sticking to the bottom, but that's okay. Once we start boiling it, all of that stuff will come off the bottom. We'll do a couple minutes on this side. Then we're gonna come back in there and we're gonna hit it with them fresh herbs. Cover it up with water there. And ladies and gentlemen, our chicken will be underway officially today on the Cooking with Ruf show. All right, folks, we are back on the Cooking with Ruf show on YouTube. We have seared the chicken on one side and we flipped it over, and now it's starting to form that juice. Look at that in that corner over there. You see that juice forming? Started to form that juice that I talked about. So that's the beginning of that broth that we're going to use when we're eventually at the point where we are making our dumplings. So it is time now that we've seared on one side and we've cooked on the other side. Let's go ahead and add our fresh herbs to it. So we're going to drop in these onions just all around. Come back in here and we're going to hit it with this garlic. Again, that's 4 cloves of garlic. They were pretty big cloves too, so it's a lot of garlic, but I like garlic. So, and the cool part about cooking is you can do whatever it is that you want to do. If you don't like a lot of garlic, you don't have to put as much. You don't like parsley in yours, you can put whatever your favorite herb is. You can make this fit how you and your family like it. So we'll just kind of Spread those herbs around. I'll cover it again. We'll let it go another couple minutes or so, and then we will come back in here and we're gonna cover the whole thing with water. Let that sucker boil for like 40 minutes until it is nice and tender. All right, folks, it is time to add the water to our chicken. And to do that, what I did was I filled the medium meat marination container up with water so that we could take advantage of all that seasoning that was left in there. So we're gonna pour this in the chicken or over the chicken. Take a look at that. You see those herbs have wilted down a little bit, and all of that is just flavor, just waiting to be had. So we'll go ahead now, we'll come over the top and we will add our water in. And I don't really have a set amount of water, folks. Generally, what I do is I just kind of make sure that I cover the chicken because it's gonna cook down anyway. But I start off with that level of water. I have the largest saucepan that I have my chicken in there, and I'll just cover that with water. And we're gonna keep that heat. You see my settings is between 7 and 8, so call it 7.5. We're gonna keep that heat on medium high, which is gonna cook that chicken kind of at a pretty hefty pace. Again, we're gonna do that for about 40 minutes. Let's talk about what chicken I use for my chicken and dumpling. So I talked about this. I used a whole chicken and I quartered it. And the reason I do that is I like both dark and light meat. If you only like dark meat, you can make your chicken and dumplings using chicken thighs. If you only like white meat, you can use breast. But when I use that whole chicken, I make sure that I achieve the proper level of chickenicity, which could be the Cooking with Ruf word of the week. Chickenicity. And that is the level of chicken in your dish that you're preparing, in this case, in my chicken and dumplings. Chickenicity. All right, folks, let's talk about the dumpling. I did 1 3/4 to 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I did a ½ teaspoon of salt, and I mixed those dry ingredients together. I took 1 egg and I beat the egg in a bowl. And then I used 3/4 cups of water. And similar to the way I made biscuits in the Peg's Biscuits video, I just took the dry ingredients and I made a well in the center. I added the egg, the water, and I put also about a tablespoon or so of olive oil in that well. And then I began to just kind of stir in the center and incorporate the flour from the sides until I had a dough. And then once it reached a consistency where I could put my hands in there, I put my hands in and I began to add the dough from the side and then knead the dough ball until it reached the proper consistency. So normally I will make this and then go ahead and get right into making my dumplings. But for this video, I ended up having to refrigerate the dough for a few hours. So this is a little bit different than what I normally do, but we're gonna see how it works out. And the key to this is you really don't want it to be sticky. So, once you stick your hands down in it, you want it to pull away clean without having the dough stick to your hands. So basically at this point, once you get that dough ball to that consistency that you want, you can come back, and I'm gonna just use my countertop because I don't have a big enough cutting board for this. Cooking Ruf, you gonna cut on your counter? Oh yeah, we're gonna put it right on the countertop. And I did obviously wipe my countertop off before doing this, so it's nice and clean. Then we're gonna put our dough ball on there. We're gonna bust out the rolling pin. And we just want to start rolling this thing out. And you'll roll it out until it's pretty flat. And we're doing this obviously while our chicken is cooking over there. And you just want to keep rolling that bad boy out. And because maybe I put a little bit too much flour on here, It's kind of drawing back up on me, but we're gonna keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. This will probably be a point in the video where there'll be some elevator music. Okay, I think we're in the ballpark now, folks. So we can come in. And this is how my mom did it. So she come in with a knife and she would just basically cut her dumplings out of there. So we're gonna grab a knife and we're gonna do that. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of pressure on this, so the countertops, I know you probably like, Cooking with Ruf, you ruining your countertops? Not really. I'm just kind of touching it and cutting. So there we go, folks, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of pick these up off the counter. Hopefully we can get them up without them sticking too bad. That's why I added that flour in the beginning. And then we will, when we get to the point in the recipe where that broth is ready to roll, we will add our dumplings to that broth, let them cook down, and then at that point, Lord have mercy. All right, folks, at this stage of the game, we got the chicken out of the broth. We got our broth still boiling. All we need to do now is get these dumplings up off the countertop, and we're gonna add them to the broth, and we're gonna let that cook down for 30 to 40 minutes until they're nice and tender. So I'm gonna do that about face that I always do, and we're gonna add these dumplings to the broth. All right, folks, we have our dumplings now added to the broth. Just kind of take a look at that in here. We got them bad boys all in there, and now we're just gonna allow this to cook down until they're nice and tender. They'll start to it'll thicken up, and then we'll be ready to add that chicken back after I debone it. And ladies and gentlemen, at that time, it'll be taste time. Time to give them chicken and dumplings a try. All right, folks, welcome back to the Cooking with Ruf show on YouTube. We are ready to add our deboned chicken to our dumplings, which have cooked down. So let's take a look here on the Cooking with Ruf stove top. Those dumplings are starting to cook down. They're getting more and more tender. That sauce in there with the dumplings is starting to thicken up. And we're gonna go ahead and add this chicken back to it. Let that continue to cook down. There went a piece of chicken. And we're gonna stir that in. Let that continue to cook down for maybe another 10 minutes or so. And then, ladies and gentlemen, man, look at that, man. We're gonna be eating some chicken and dumplings. Folks, welcome back to the Cooking with Ruf cooking show on YouTube. We made our chicken and dumplings today, and folks, I believe that they are finally done. So we're gonna turn around here to the Cooking with Ruf stovetop. Have Mr. Cameraman come on over here and take a peek, man. Look at them chicken and dumplings. Man, you can put this over a little bit of rice if you want to. I like to eat it straight up. We're gonna let that cool down a little bit. All right, folks, welcome back to the Cooking with Ruf cooking show on YouTube, and we are here at the grand finale. We have made homemade dumplings. We cooked our chicken with those fresh herbs. Everything is now cooked down, and we are about to dive in. So I'm gonna make sure I get some dumpling. I'm gonna get a little of that white meat. I'm gonna get a little bit of dark meat. I want all of it in one bite. Look at that. We got dark meat, we got white meat, we got dumplings on the side, and it's time for us to give this thing a taste. Huge bite incoming. Man, that tastes like home, like my mama used to make, folks. We showed you how to make chicken and dumplings from scratch today on the Cooking with Ruf show. I hope you and your family enjoy this recipe, and we thank you for watching Cooking with Ruf.